Sit down, Pumpkin.
Hello and welcome to Jennifer Natters. I'm Jennifer and this is my knitting and nattering video podcast where I go on about all the stuff I've been up to in the last wee while. I think it's beginning of October and I did my last podcast. So most of October, all of November, and now most of December. I don't like podcasting during December because I think things get lost in all of the overwhelm of people doing Vlogmas. I am all for people doing Vlogmas. I even watch a few, but mostly I just find it completely overwhelming when my subscriptions is full of so many videos and there's no way I can watch them, so I just get a lot of anxiety about it. So I don't want this video lost in that anxiety, but it probably won't come out before Christmas anyway, because that's the kind of person I am. Today is the 21st of December, if I didn't say that, and I am Jennifer. I am an American, originally from near San Francisco, living in the Highlands of Scotland. And yeah, it's almost Christmas. I've got a fire on the television, which is also playing an old movie in the corner, so we'll just pretend that's not happening. And I've got our tree. Both my children and my husband are home, so we might get interruptions. We'll see how it goes. I have a lot of finished objects because it's been a while, and I think the most important one is my Nordic Noel pullover. That is by Anniina Juuti Knits. And this is a DK weight colorwork yoke. I did mine in Cole Merino Blend. It's 100% wool, Merino Blend anti-tickle. I'm pretty sure the colors are bottle, white, and cranberry. The pattern calls for 2 each of the white and cranberry and then a bunch of the green. I used less of the green, but I needed just the tiniest bit of white. I think I was in this final red and white 1x1 row, like a third of the way in when I ran out of white yarn, because while I'm on 4 stitch gauge, my row gauge was long, so I needed slightly more white. I did this as a test knit. The pattern came out, I think, in November. It's definitely out. It is such a great pattern. It is so fun. Excuse me. And I've worn it almost nonstop. Excuse me, since all December long. I've been wearing it just constantly and it's holding up well. I don't have much in the way of pilling. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. I liked knitting it. I had a lot of fun with that. It was good. I would recommend it. You don't really have a lot of time to knit one for this year, but you can always buy the pattern and get the yarn and start it and put it aside to finish for next year. And then let's start with some of the stuff I've finished since last time. I knit a Musselburgh that's by Ysolda Teague. This color is not, that's more like it. It is a really dark gray with purples and greens. And it is the tube folded over. This is Malabrigo. And I don't have the ball band. My mother gave it to me and it had the shade number, but it didn't have what it was. And I think in my head I was thinking it was DK, but it's the, what is it, Aran or worsted. That's blowing out a bit. It is darker than that, but you can kind of see some of the colors. So I thought I'd be able to get a hat with a bit of a fold up, but no. And I gave this to my oldest. She collects, and by collects I mean steals hats. So yeah, I think it's really pretty. I love the colors. And yeah, that's one Musselburgh down. And this is not in order, but then I knit her another Musselburgh because she said she wanted a pink fuzzy hat. So this hat is pink and it is fuzzy. This is in Drops Alpaca Blend. That's like an Anniina worsted weight. And then this is the Alpaca Silk Floof, which I think is a sport weight, held double. I don't have the ball bands for these. I didn't have quite enough of the light pink, so I did hot pink for there. And I have an alpaca bauble to put on it, but thus far she hasn't wanted that. And this one doesn't need to be folded over because this goes poof. Does she wear them? No, she still wears her Musselburgh that I knit her 2 years ago. That's the Lonely Knitter yarn back when it was Bumbling Yarns, in like a seafoam color with different colors of Cumulus. The Fiber Spates Cumulus, that's the one she wears. But she steals other hats. There was one day, I guess she was cold, she wore like 11 hats, one on top of each other. Continuing our hat theme, having finished this and having some leftovers and knowing I had some other colors in my stash, I knit a Season's Greetings hat. This is by Hannah of Herbgarden Knitwear. And then I did add the alpaca palm, and they're on poppers. So this one I gave to my husband, and he is very interested in being able to change the color of his popper. And then the brim is meant to be worn folded up. Yeah, so that's Season Greeting Hat by Hannah of Herbgarden Knitwear. Herbgarden Knitwear. Don't know what I'm saying. And it was a lot of fun. It was easy. If I did it again, I think I would do a slightly smaller needle size, just go for a slightly tighter tension. Yeah, see, same green, same white, different yellow, and then the blues were just, I had them in stash from when I knit a Doctor Who scarf, the rainbow stripy one. Not the old school Doctor Who scarf that's 20 million miles long. And another thing for my husband, I knit a Brio Clava hat. Oop, that side's looking, it's just because the floof is on it, it's not. This is a Brioche Balaclava by Stephen West. And I knit this in West Yorkshire Spinners color something. Do I have it written down here? I probably don't. Color Lab. That's black in the Color Lab. And then this is Woolly Knit and For the Love of Yarn. Both in, the floof is For the Love of Yarn, and then the base is Woolly Knit. I don't know if I have any ends where I can show you what it is. You can see it a little better here. I bought the Woolly Knit for my husband, and then I bought the For the Love of Yarn thinking I'd make something like high vis for me when I'm cycling at the Woolly Good Gathering back in April, the end of April. I got the floof from the For the Love of Yarn at the Glasgow Yarn Collective booth. And then when I got home and showed it to my husband, he's like, that's for me, right? That color's for me. So I used it for him. I don't think he's worn this yet. I have. And for me, it's a bit big around the face. So it doesn't pull in quite the way I'd want it to. But yeah, we did have, no, I can't remember if it was the end of November. Yeah, it was the end of November. We had a bunch of snow and it was really cold and everything. So I wore this a few times. And what do I have next? I'm going to skip to crochet really quick. I have a tiny little crow. Look at that cutie. I'm trying to think if I heard the back door open. I probably did. This is just in some cotton that I had in stash, which is probably Rico. It's got little eyes, little feets. I did that for Halloween. And then for the beginning of November, my youngest bought a poppy to wear and then lost it on the way home. We ride a bicycle and she wasn't holding it tightly enough and it blew right out of her hand and it was really dark. So even though we circled back and like used the headlamp as a torch, and we couldn't find it. So I crocheted one for her. Again, just in some mostly Rico cotton. I've got a bunch of Anniina Aran weight cottons that I can use for little projects. And then my oldest painted her pumpkin to look like Neptune, wearing a scarf and a hat. So I crocheted her a Neptune. It still needs eyes, and then we have wool, which I'll just do in like any white I have, but we've got wool to do the hat and the scarf. It's just a poof. I use a head pattern from an Anniina book I have. So it's mostly round, but a little flat so it sits. So I need to put big eyes on it and then have her make a hat and a scarf. She said she wanted to. We'll see if she does it or if I wind up doing it. That was what this was cast on as a learn to knit project for my oldest, who expressed an interest in learning to knit. So I got it past the increases and then gave it to her, and I'm like, all you have to do is the same thing over and over. And she didn't enjoy it. She said it was hurting her hands. So not interested in learning that skill right now. That one helped a lot because I weighed it stuffed for my trying to have more yarn out than in this year. That weighed quite a lot once I had stuffed it. So let me just see if I've missed anything. I did knit a little hat for a baby that I don't know very well. Just a little newborn baby, and her mom had a little red and white striped hat that someone had knit for her on her at the beginning of like end of November, early December, and the mom was complaining that it was too small. It didn't pull down over the ears enough, and I was like, aha, I am a knitter, I can solve that problem. So I took Yarnsmiths in some Christmas colors I'd bought to make socks for me, and I whipped out a little Elfbaby hat by Robynn Weldon. I don't have a picture of it. I finished it in time to wash it and dry it and give it to the mum. And the mum said she was going to put a picture on Facebook, but hasn't yet. So, yeah, she did like it though. She thought it was really cute, and that yarn is so soft. I did red and white stripes, and then it had a green lacy band for the ribbing around the edge. I'll put a picture of the Elfbaby pattern, hopefully, and then you'll just have to imagine it in the colors. So pretty much as soon as I finished this, I turned my attention back to my Pitoulish vest, which has been on the needles for forever. And part of the reason I wasn't working on it was I had it on like 100 centimeter circs, 40 inches, I think that is. And it was just really awkward having to slide things around. So I finally ordered an 80 centimeter one, and then I was able to finish it really quickly. And this is the Pitoulish vest by Emily K. Williams. It's in the, I think it's called the Perspective book. It's from Julie and Emily edited it using yarn from Julie's Black Isle yarn. I'm really not doing well, am I? I've talked about it before. It is the Pitoulish vest. It's in a book. I had heard that the arm size was too small, so I increased it. I increased it too much. I probably could have, like, I added 3 or 4 inches. I probably only needed to add 2 inches. I've worn this a lot in November. And then since Christmas, I've mostly been wearing this. Although when it was cold and snowy, I wore this under this. It is such a great layering piece. I knit mine in really old stash. It's Big Boy from Easy Knitter. And I know I bought some when he was discontinuing the old version of the base and getting a new version of the base. And I don't know if the new version is still the current version, but this is definitely older yarn. I think I got this in like 2016 or 2017. And I still have almost as much left because I'd got 3 skeins. They're 150 grams each. And I used probably just over 1.5. But I love this. It is such a great layering piece. And it's cute and yeah, a lot of fun. Excuse me. And the other thing I finished just last night in time to wash it and lay it flat to dry, but not weave in any ends, is my Festive Yoke pullover. I did on the first sleeve get confused about the decrease rate, so I switched from doing it every 5th row to every 6th row. So my sleeves are really wide at the end. But then I was trying to finish it in time to wear it this week. I didn't. So I just did the other one the same. This yarn is so soft. This is the Festive Yoke pullover by Skeindeer, Ellie of Skeindeer Knits. I only include one of the reindeer patterns. Just a little bit of an interruption, but I am back and I made myself fresh tea. Previously I had Weldon Blend Salted Caramel Lebkuchen. I'm sorry, I don't know German. Although I did go to Lidl. I've never bought anything at Lidl before. They have them here in Inverness, but not convenient to me, especially since we don't have a car. Neither my husband nor I drive, so we get our groceries delivered, and Lidl doesn't deliver. So, but there's one not too far from where my youngest does dance class, and I went to the co-op and parked my bike there and then walked a bit further because it was cold and dark and wet, and there's a lot of traffic in that area. So I didn't want to be trying it on my bike, having never done it before. So I walked across the street and down the block and over. And I got so much German Christmas treats. So I've got a biscuit that I've started, and I got so much stuff. It's great. I will definitely go there again. It's worth the extra effort, I think. So yeah, I made myself more tea. This one's just, I can't remember if I made Earl Grey or breakfast. And I can't tell because my mouth is full of spice biscuit. Anyway, my pullover is wonderful. I haven't actually worn it yet. I mean, I've tried it on, but I haven't worn it. Now it's done. I've got one drop stitch here that I need to secure. I knit this in, I'm sorry, I'm just looking to see if the white is picking up some of the color. I knit this in Kinross 4-ply from Wee County Yarns. That's Claire. She tried being Wee County Claire, but then everybody thought she was a small yarn shop in County Clare, Ireland, and she is Claire with a yarn shop in the Wee County in Scotland. So Wee County Yarns. And this is her Kinross 4-ply that she has spun just for her in the color Beadlet, which I looked up, and it's a sea urchin and snowdrop. And when I first washed it, when I was last year, I started this November last year, and I finished the body, and it was early January, so I put it away for the year. And then I just needed to pick up and knit the sleeves. But when I first washed it to get gauge, I had the tiniest bit of color transfer onto the white. So some of them look a little pink at the top. And then I bought a bunch of color catchers and I've been washing it with. And even with all the color catchers, the water was very pink. But I don't think any of the white has changed color. But I do think some of the pink, the fuzziness of the pink threads is maybe rubbing over onto some of the white threads. Oh, I love this so much. And I would absolutely buy another sweater quantity of this yarn. And the only thing is I told myself I have to at least finish the first garment before I buy yarn to make a second garment. But I would absolutely do, like I was thinking, there's a bunch of heart charts. I could do a bunch of hearts as in the festive yoke with all the hearts, or just do like rainbow stripes on a gray. Oh, I want to do lots of things with this yarn. This yarn is so lovely. I've seen Claire at so many things since she first brought the yarn out, and I'm just really glad I finally budgeted to buy a sweater quantity. This was 8 skeins. It was 5 skeins of the beadlet, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and 3 skeins of the white, and I've got 60 grams left. They come in 50 gram balls. I've got just under 20 grams of the burgundy, the red. I'm using it as a red. I've got just under 20 grams of the red and just over 40 grams of the white. So I will definitely look for something that I can use to finish those up. Maybe I'll try it on for you. It is a little tighter than it was last year. I've put on some weight. I'm not a fan of, they call them roll necks. I believe this would be a mock turtleneck in the US, a roll neck here in the UK. There's something on my screen, so that's why I keep, there. That's why I keep brushing at my shoulder. Aesthetically, I'm not a fan of them. I don't think they look good on me, but they keep my neck from being cold in the winter. So I have a bunch. I wish I had better colors. So there we go. I love it. Oh, I love it so much. Maybe I need to add a little more to the sleeves. It is so nice. Oh. So yeah, I'm very excited to finally have this done. And that is the last of my whips. This was a size 7, so I think the upper arms are just a little bit snug. So if I do knit another one, probably do a size 8. I did want this to be more of a fitted. The other thing is, having done just the body and gotten to the sleeves, I was like, I would absolutely, like, I think it looks great just like that, and do a little cap sleeve or a little, you know, like just a little bit of ribbing there. But then I was like, I don't really wear vests. But now I've got my Pitoulish Pullover. I absolutely would wear a vest. So yeah, I really enjoyed the pattern. I really enjoyed picking my charts. I know the doodle charts book and all that other stuff, those are DK weight, but a chart is a chart. So you could do them at different gauges. This one's really fun. I'm just really into Christmas colorwork jumpers. Yeah, that is all my finished objects. I do have a half finished object that I almost flashed you earlier. This is another one by Anniina Knits, who designed this. You'll be able to see the similarities. And these are, did I write them down? I know I wrote them down, but I didn't write them. I have my notebook, and then when I finish things, I've been writing it down on my next episode page. But then in the back, I'm keeping track of how much yarn I've used and how much I've bought. I know I looked this up. Oh, because it's in the works in progress section, not the finished objects section. The Festive Mistletoe Socks, and that's by Anniina Juuti, but it's sold through the Fiber Co. So she designed it for Fiber Co. This is not their yarn, this is Yarnsmiths. I knit the colorwork, which is a thing I've been wanting to do. Colorwork socks, stranded colorwork socks. I've done mosaic and random other types of colorwork. And then I went to put them on, and this second row of snowflakes is too tight and wouldn't pull on over my heel. So rather than pulling them back and making them bigger, because I think I'd knit down to, well, I'd knit a little bit before the trying on stage. My oldest asked if she could have them, and I said yes. So from the decreases, I decreased down to a smaller size and then did a shorter foot, although I had to rip it back twice to add more length because she said they were too small. So these, and now I need to knit the second one, even though I'm not feeling as much love because they're not for me. I really want these socks. Here's my leftover Kinross 4-ply. Ah, come on. So yeah, that's the Kinross 4-ply. This is one that is an oiled yarn when you buy it, so you do have to wash it like hot water and dish soap and a little bit of agitation, but then it comes out so nice. Anyway, Yarnsmiths, also nice. Haven't made socks to wear yet, so hopefully they'll hold up okay. And yeah, just need to cast on the second one and knit that. It's a smaller sock, so it didn't really take all that long, and colorwork is fun, so it falls off the needles pretty easily. I did knit a pair of pumpkin spice socks. It's a pumpkin spice colorway in Woolly Goodness. Is that the Woolly Goodness sock set? So it was 50 grams of a spicy pumpkin pie kind of color. Not that they have pumpkin pie in this country, which is a shame because it is delicious. And then a matching kind of tonally spice green, both in sparkly, which I gave to my oldest because I didn't love the colors. I wanted to knit it, I wanted to have it, but I don't wear like muted gray toned orange is the opposite of my colors. I like bright, clear, vivid jewel tones, cool toned, clear, bright colors. And lest you think I've made a bunch of stuff for my oldest and very little for my youngest, I knit a pair of Magic Heel socks. I've almost knit a pair of Magic Heel socks. This is by Juuti Jewel, and I bought the kid pattern because I wanted advice on where to place the heel for growing. Because I think you want, the ribbon goes under the heel, and I think you want it to be like just barely under the heel so that as they grow, like their foot moves further back and the sock gets shorter. The pattern did not have instructions. I mean, it's not really, I would have just bought the adult pattern for the idea, but I specifically got the kids instruction because I wanted instructions on how to make these last a long time for a child. And the pattern didn't have it. It was very much knit to the desired length. Okay. And then here's the second one. So I am close to done, but my youngest tried on the first sock again and said it's too small, even though I only started these in November and did make her try them on before I did the toe and stuff, so I knew how long they would be. Now she's like, they're too small. So I don't know if it's the width. I'm pretty sure this is a 60 stitch cast on. I do 64 stitches for me. Her foot's a lot smaller than mine. So I also don't know if she's just not used to a snugger sock, or if I should knit these in the future at a looser gauge. I knit my socks on 2.0 millimeter, which I think is a US 0. I don't in general do US sizes because they don't make sense. They do not move evenly up through the measurements. So yeah, and this is one of my new stitch markers. I got a stitch marker advent calendar. So I guess I will finish this and then wash them and see if they fit better after they've been washed. And if not, I will give them away. I don't know who I know with a child who would want light purple socks with a slightly smaller foot than my youngest, but we'll try. This is Opal Solids in some kind of pale lavender or lilac color. Deep stash for that. And I have one more whip to show you, which is my gnome. This is not my only gnome in progress. I still have the Something to Write Gnome About mystery cowl from October. It is not quite done yet. It needs a beard and a nose and for the pieces to be sewn together. But this is the Ganana's Visit gnome. I am not caught up on the clues, which has finished the gnome at this point, but I will show you what I have. So this is the first mystery piece. The ends are woven in, I just haven't trimmed them. And this is a cloak, a traveling cloak. And then this is the gnome. I finished, I just need to do to stuff and do the decreases. And then it should fit on her. Doot, doot, doot. Kind of like that with the nose. I do know she doesn't get a beard. She gets pigtails and arms and a nose and glasses, which I have bought. And I just got these off Etsy, although now I'm thinking I might have done better to go with a silver to go with my colors. But such is the nature of things. I have my gnome stitch marker from Chapel View Crafts. These are my colors. This one will be for the nose and the hair, although I really do like white noses on the gnomes because they live in the snow, so they have pure white noses. So I may do a white nose and then have barely used the light gray. And this is a kit from Helen at Giddy Yarns. And she was one of the official dyers, which is to say that she got to see a preview sketch of what the gnome would look like so that they could dye colors that would work well for that. And I got that as my prize for the Giddy Yarns make-along that she just does all year, and then every quarter she draws from all the finished objects that use her yarn. And I won 20 pounds for that. And then I knit a thing with the yarn I got with the 20 pounds and I won again. So I sat on that one for a while and picked this gnome kit so I could do the gnome. And yeah, that catches me up on most of what I've been up to. I have been working on the jumper I'm knitting for my friend. I have finished one sleeve and I'm working on the second. I'm still worried about playing yarn chicken, but we'll cross our fingers and hope. And then I showed you a stitch marker from my advent calendar. I actually have two advent calendars, but one of them is a stitch marker advent calendar. Someone in one of my Discord groups, I believe the Roro and Cade Discord group, had been sent from the US a set of stitch markers that had a round lever back clasp on them. And this knitter wanted to know if anyone in the UK was making stitch markers using a round lever back clasp. And someone found a shop on Etsy that was, and because I'm nosy, I had a little look. And that person, who's, I cannot remember the shop name, had an advent calendar for about 30 pounds, which was, my understanding is no two people would get the exact same charms in the box. You might get a large overlap, but part of it was being made up with just spares from the year and extras or things that this charm maker still had in the shop to fill the boxes. They weren't making 20, it's a 25 advent calendar day, 25 day advent calendar. They weren't making 25 new advent calendar stitch markers. They were filling it in from their stock. So this is most of them. And then you can just see like it's a circle rather than the more oval shape that's common. And these are not in any particular order, but I've got some Christmassy ones and a chili, which is glass. And then these are more like metal charms. This one I think is stone, as is this one over here. Yarn, candy cane, yarn, button, treble clef. And then the owl is, I think, a glass bead again. There's a lime drink. This one seems handmade. I think it's hilarious. There's a ducky, a flower. Oops, some of the ones from the DOP. This one's kind of like an all sorts. So there's been a big variety in what I've gotten every day. I really enjoyed them. And now I just have a lot more stitch markers. I had been using them for my sleeve decreases on the Festive Yoke pullover, which meant I had pulled all of them out. So I just stuck them on this. This is a little scrap swatch that I am knitting for my youngest, because I have one at my sewing table, which is also my knitting table, and I hang charms around the edge of it, and then I've got like some DPN stuck through it and darning needles, and the scissors sit on top of it, and because it's on the edge of my ironing board. So the ends hang down and I stick stitch markers on them, and she thinks that's the greatest thing. So she wants me to knit her a swatch. And this is just some yarn from Lonely Knitter that I've already used to knit other things, and she wants a stitch marker with the rest. It was originally a thing to teach her to knit, but that has not progressed very smoothly. Yeah, I think that's all the crafting stuff. I haven't done much sewing. I did make a little pumpkin bag. I think I showed it in the last one. A little pumpkin project bag that I gave away as like a little gift bag. Yeah, that's kind of that. We are off for Christmas holiday, not as in leaving, as in school is done. And my husband is done with work as well. My youngest has a tummy bug for the last 3 days, wound up not going to school Thursday or Friday, which was a bit awkward because Thursday was the Christmas service and everything, and I had volunteered to walk the class from school to the local church, which is big enough to hold all the kids. They have to do their school assemblies in shifts. So I still went and did that, even though I had been awake most of the night since 3 a.m. when she was first sick and came to me. It was not a good night. But then we wound up taking a big nap that afternoon, and the church is really close, so I walked the kids there, and then once they were all sat down with the teacher, I came back, and my husband works from home, so it's not like they were alone. I wasn't here with them because my other one's home as well. And then I went back and walked the kids back, and then went to the pharmacy and came back, although she won't take the electrolyte powder drink, which is fair because I would have to be really poorly to be able to drink that. So yeah, it's been a couple days, and she's mostly she was feeling a bit better yesterday, and now she's not again. She did have her cheer Christmas performance, her dance performance, and did really well at that. Looked really cute. We went ice skating, and the dad of the other family we went ice skating with broke his foot or his ankle. I'm a little confused. He broke bones and had to have surgery, which we didn't know at the time. So we finished skating. But yeah, that's not a great feeling. But my kids and my husband didn't go ice skating. He just watched from the sides, had a lot of fun. And I think the kid from the other family had fun. The mom from that family also fell, and that's when they went home. But didn't have to have surgery. Just normal, fell really hard and everything aches. The rink was really rough. I've never seen, I've been skating at an outdoor rink in California where the ice was melting faster than they could freeze it. And that was when I broke my toe the first time. But the ice was in really rough condition. And I don't know if it's because it was really crowded with people who don't normally go ice skating, so there's a lot of rougher use on the edge. But my husband said after the Zamboni went around that the ice still on the edges didn't look like it had smoothed out properly. So maybe that needs servicing. I don't know. My two want to go ice skating again, but certainly not until the new year. We did that. We didn't do anything for Thanksgiving. It's not a holiday here. It's just another day. The election results hit me really hard. I feel like I was braced for Trump to win. I was not braced for Trump to win with the popular vote. Like, that was not something, or by a wide margin, it was not something I was prepared for. That hit me pretty hard. And is still very upsetting. He's not even the president again. My two were born here in the UK, but are US citizens. So you have to go to, in our case, the consulate in Edinburgh. Most everyone else has to go to the embassy in London. The consulate in Edinburgh is so much nicer. It's small and it's pokey, but you don't have to go through like security. There's no armed guards with automatic rifles outside. Like, no, it's a much better experience, except when we went the first time for my oldest, Barack Obama was still president. And when we went with my youngest, who was born in January 2017, right before Trump took office, when we went to register her birth, there was an enormous portrait of Trump, and I mean enormous, like 3 foot by 4 foot, bigger, 4 foot by 6 foot. I don't know. It was huge, all on one wall, and I almost ran screaming from the building. It was right by the security checkpoint when you go in. For Americans, it's like a DMV with a lot of security to go in. Like, you have to go through a metal detector and stuff to go in, but that's all it is. It's not. And then upstairs is, you know, I don't know who the person at the consulate would be. Sub-ambassador. It's not someone with diplomatic immunity, but someone who works for the ambassador in case they need to do meetings and stuff. I'm sure it's very nice upstairs. But downstairs is like sitting in a very small DMV. With an enormous portrait of Trump, which fortunately was in the lobby and not in the room where we were, because it was... Anyway, we will see how that all goes. Now I've thoroughly depressed myself. I'm going to go eat German Christmas biscuits. That's what I will do. Yeah, no real plans for the new year. I'm trying to concentrate still on knitting from stash. I have a bunch of sweater quantities that I really want to turn into sweaters, even though I really, really, really want to get one of the rainbow sets, the rainbow mini sets, which I think are 20 grams or 25 grams. They're smaller sets of rainbow colors and like a dark gray, and do a rainbow striped. I have ideas, but I should start with what I have. Thank you so much for watching. If you can give me a thumbs up, that would make me very, very, very happy. And I hope you have a really nice holiday season if you celebrate anything that's going on right now. Thank you so much. Bye.